Hello, everybody, and welcome to the One Fear Per Year podcast. I am really excited about this because fear holds us back, and I'm sick and tired of it. So, we are going to talk to Tanisha Smith, one of my favorite people, because, man, talk about walking through fear and chasing your dreams and not having excuses. That's why I love this woman. So, Tanisha, really quick, my other guests, I've asked more about what their fears are at the beginning, but I want to ask you, what have you used what to help yourself, because you're so accomplished, to overcome the fears that hold you back? Like, are there any tools or tricks or something like that you could share with our audience right out of the gate?
Yes. Thank you, by the way. But right out of the gate, we'll just go for it. Right out of the gate, I think my fears have all stemmed from me kind of making decisions on my own early on and kind of having to hold up to what I decided to do. For instance, I was a mother at 16 years old. So being a teen mom, that was a decision I got to make and had to make on my own. And then with that, the consequences, the life changes, and all those things that had to go with it, it was all on me. And so for me, I think I just had to kind of dive in. I made the decisions to kind of do certain things. And so that was one of the big fears of becoming a mother, and will I fail? Will I succeed? But having to push my way through that. So my tools really are gosh, I have to say my mother who was always the type of person, just my support system. So when it came to, like, yes, there may be fears. Yes, it's going to be hard, but you just got to get up and kind of make it work. So when there's a will, there's a way. I always say that because she always said that with me growing up. It's, whether it's cliche or not, when there's a will, there's a way. And I constantly had to remind myself of that when I had a fear and when I was doubting myself. So that's the long and short answer, actually.
I love that because it does show that we need people around us in our lives, that accountability, encouragement component. But what did you do when you felt stuck? Because there are moments in our lives where we just feel kind of stuck or paralyzed. What what did you do? Would you call your mom and say, "Mom, I'm stuck. Like, what do I do?" Or what things would you use?
Oh gosh, I have to say my first reaction is cry therapy, shower therapy, car therapy. That means get in the car and cry it out, talk it out, and think it out. Because when I have fear, it's one of those things I can reach out to other people. So it really is not my mother. When I'm having the fear, I have to remember what she taught me, but I don't run to anybody and to actually get over the fears right now. I internalize them, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. However, I've learned to balance it. So it's not really hard on me. It's having those low sessions. It's okay to cry. It's okay to need a breather. It's okay to be by yourself for a little while and decongest or congest everything that you're going through right now so you can be able to, like, let me release. I think that for me, a tool is that just having a moment to myself. I was a mother of five. I ended up being a mother of five. So downtime and having alone time, there wasn't a lot of that. So this is why I choose the bath, the car, the shower for my cry sessions. And it's okay. It's actually therapeutic for me. Just get it out, just release. There's so much tension always built up. So those releases really do help me. It is about, I don't meditate necessarily, but I'm also not a big TV watcher. Or like social media. I have my times that I'm on social media, but I like quiet. I sit in my room and I work all day and from my like home office, and I'm in here in total silence. In between that, it's really nice to not have the noise going on. So it is a lot of internal kind of, I don't know if you want to call it meditation, but I feel like I don't meditate. I'm not like a music and meditate. It's really just solace is really my therapy.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because I feel like with people, a lot of people have a very hard time sitting in stillness with themselves, like you just described. So, are you a proponent of, let's say, people are running from that and they don't want to do that, to find a way, maybe a class or an activity, something online or whatever, where people can learn how to sit in stillness with themselves?
Yeah, so let me tell you, this was not me years ago. This came about me being in stillness and me being able to be with myself and be okay with being myself and figure out if I like myself, is what I tell people. Was it came by way of me going to therapy. It was my ex-husband and I were going to a couples therapy, and it ended up turning out to where I was like, well, I actually need it for myself. So I was going on my own, and then what happened was the therapist at one point, she was like, do you ever just have time to yourself alone without the 5 kids, without the husband, the 2 dogs that you have, without school, without work, and just spend time alone to yourself and quiet and just being. And I was like, oh no, like that's scary. That is no. I like the noise. The noise keeps all the angst and anxiety out. And I had to learn to bring it in and I had to let it be and let it sit with me. And I had to feel. And when I wasn't feeling, and then all of a sudden when I would crash, I had to figure out why I kept crashing because I was numbing myself so much with all of the activities and distractions. So it did come by a way for me to have to like push those things out. It took a while. It was not, I'd say she told me this, therapist told me this maybe at one point it was like 2 years before I actually started to realize like I'm giving myself grace. I'm giving myself time. It started off as little chunks of time. The therapy, the quiet therapy and car therapy and all those didn't come about until later on. Give yourself time to just be and sit with your thoughts and your feelings and your emotion. And sometimes they're not good thoughts. Sometimes they're, great thoughts, but give your self time to be there. And that's what I had to do. I mean, whether it's, listening to somebody else, I listen to other inspirational people. I have days to where that's all I want to do is just listen to motivational people and conversations. Not that I have to take their direction and run with it. I have my own direction. I have my own mind. I'm very adamant about that. My mother would tell you. But I love to be able to listen to something that's inspirational, that's going to be something like, even if it's something I've heard a million times, it's those constant reminders, mantras, if you will. Though that's what I love to be able to do. So I had to be able to do that to kind of open myself up to get out of my own head and to let somebody else and let positive energy and positive people into my life.
Have you had the experience of having that fear of judgment and criticism from other people?
Yeah. The 16-year-old mom. Let's start there. I started off really young having the judgment. It didn't even come, the professional judgment and all those things. That was later on. I mean, other than high school and things like that, the professional judgment was so much less than the judgment of being a 16-year-old mom, actually someone who my mother was also 16-year-old mom, so I'm following in my mother's footprints. So having someone in the family saying, "Don't you want to be better than your mother? Don't you want to do something better than her?" And I felt really little and small and like, gosh, are you saying that what? And I, at this time at 16, I'm not seeing the differences. My mother to me did a fine job raising us. We had a roof over our head. The house was clean. We always had food, Christmas presents, new school clothes. So to me, I was like, what do you mean? What am I missing that I don't know that I'm missing? Because I didn't have a life of luxury, if you will. But I didn't know it. I had no clue. I thought I was living in luxury. I didn't know we were poor until I realized later on. My mother said, "No, I didn't have money. I didn't have any of that. I made do with what I had."
Until someone else points it out, you're just happy as a clam.
I was perfectly fine, and I still am. In hindsight, I still am. As a certain age, you kind of start judging. I mean, especially social media wasn't around when I was at that certain age, but you start looking around like, oh, okay, other people do have more. Oh, other people do take trips and they travel and they have money to do stuff like that. I didn't think about it. I was happy going outside in Vallejo, California, going outside and playing outside on the street until it was, time to come in the house. So I didn't worry about the bike that I got for, one Christmas or something was all I needed. A bike and some Barbie dolls, and I didn't think about anything else. I think that's the simple life, and I didn't think about new tennis. I wasn't like a Nike, Jordan, or back in the day LA Gear fan even. I didn't think about any name brands they had. I didn't know any different. If it came from Kmart or Walmart, or what was it, Kmart or Mervyn's, it didn't matter,
Yep.
to me.
Now, so the fear of criticism and judgment as you were a teenage mom, how did you deal with that? Were there certain things that you did, or how did you let that kind of roll off your back, or did it really impact you?
It did. So it both. So I let it roll off my back. It did impact me. I let a lot of stuff roll off. I mean, internally though, what it does to me, yeah, it was eating me up. It was doing something for me. But when it came down to the realization of why does it bother me so much? Why does it bother people? Why are people, not just me, why are people so concerned that as a 16-year-old parent that I just ruined my life? And then when it came, the flip side of that, it was what can I do to change the narrative? That's really what it came down to it. I went to school. I got 2 degrees. I've established my business, like myself in a business setting, and then I ended up starting my own business. And so all of the things that people were afraid of, their fears that they put onto me, because that's really what it was, their fears onto me when I was so young and naive, I didn't realize that it is a scary place. People say, how did you do it as a 16-year-old mom? How did you do it? By the time I was 27, I had 5 kids. I was married, had 5 kids. They were like, how did you do it? I said, I didn't think about it. I didn't have a fear. Like I didn't see the outside view and societal view. I was living day by day, getting up every day, working, taking care of the kids, doing what I had to do. And this is me working. This is not on welfare. This is me taking care of things. And I didn't think twice about the fear behind it. I was just fearing like I must be missing something because people said this was going to be way harder. Now, granted, when I look back, it was hard. If I would have stopped for a second to think about really what was happening, I think I would have had a crash point, I would say a bigger crash point because there's a whole, another episode we can have on fear and depression and things like that because I ended up having postpartum depression after, and this is another story as well, but having postpartum depression and fear behind that hitting me again and coming back into my life. I ended up having a stroke at 32. And so all these fears and a lot of pressure, there was a lot going on with that. So a lot of what I'm done, and I say a lot of these things, the therapy, as well as me having the stroke and me having the depression, all those happened around the same 5 to 6 years time span. And let me say probably less than between the healing. But they haven't in that time, and I had to learn to just be at that time. And the best thing for me was not being around everyone. I'm the type of person I don't want to bring my problems on to people, and I'll go in my shell and in my bubble, and then I come back and people are like, "You're always so happy and jolly," and I'm like, "But I'm not."
You're like, you
But
didn't
this
see me
this is
yesterday.
you didn't get to see me 5 minutes ago. I pulled it together to get in here. But yeah, it's a journey. It's still a journey every single day. The ups and downs. I mean, I think we all have fears that we walk through life with, and we have to constantly remind ourselves through either therapy or coaching ourselves or our support system that we're okay. We're doing okay.
And
We're all
you
right.
and you have found out or realized that everything that is beautiful and good in your life is kind of on the other side of the fear.
It is. It is. It is. And you're constantly yesterday I started feeling a little angst. I had a party at the house and over the weekend, and then from the party it was like, I gotta clean up. But there's a lot that goes into planning a party and having people over, and not in a bad way. And I didn't realize how much angst I had. And yesterday I felt like I was just coming down from it. And I'm like, oh, you know what? This is okay. This is normal. You had a lot going on, over the weekend. Great stuff, and you're coming down from it. So this feeling you have internally, because it's mental, it's emotional, it's physical as well, right? Fear is physical, and anxiety, just like anxiety and depression. And so for me, I had to like, okay, this is okay. This is normal. You will feel this and it will pass. That I think that's one of those things that's harder for somebody who's, clinical, has a lot of like the clinical depression and different things like that, is because it's constantly going up and down. The waves are constantly up and down. I suffer with anxiety. And so the waves come and go. And so yesterday I thought, like, is this going to be my one anxiety attack that I don't, but within the next couple of days, it's going to hit really hard? I can't tell you. But I know, though, yesterday was my tell myself, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to get through it. You can, push through, and you're going to be on the other side of this within the next, hopefully 7 days or less. But I'm not melting down like I used to. I don't have to hide away what I have an anxiety attack anymore, which I used to, because it was so much pressure. But I had the kids here at home in my face, and there's no moments of that silence that I do love so much for me to kind of just decompress and be in my own mind and talk my way out of it.
Yes. So there's no wrong answer. This is a very individual response. But what do you think the opposite of fear is? Like, if you could pick one word that would be the opposite of fear, what would that word be?
Peace.
Ooh,
So I think I fight fear with like anger. I fight it with like a negative emotion a lot of times. And the outside of that, then the other side of that would just be peace, be at peace.
love peace. Peace is one of that is what I am always wanting in my life, that feeling of inner peace and just settled, for you and I that do struggle with anxiety and things like that and heavy fear, at least for me, that feeling of peace is there's no better feeling in the world. Um, so as this podcast is called One Fear Per Year, looking into the next year, is there a particular fear or activity or something that you want to walk through that you know you want to do, but you have that resistance?
I do. I'm trying to start another business, another business venture, and it's totally out of what the norm of what I've been doing. My big fear is that I will put so much time and invest so much energy into it that I will not pull through and do it. And I'll back out because I'm like, I have another option. I have what I've been doing all these years. I've been in HR 28 years and starting a whole branding company. And I'm like, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. That's a big fear. And I want to push through it and see how far I can get there. So while it's a fear, I'm excited. I'm so excited about it. And so that's I guess what I have to go on, the excitement.
Ooh, okay. So that was my final question. How you're
Yes.
gonna push through this fear of starting a new business. You lean on the excitement of it. Is there anything else that helps you when you feel like, oh my gosh, what all those inner negative voices?
It's that one thing at a time. If I have to break it down into nuggets and figure it out one thing at a time, I understand that. I will my little cheat sheet here, I have a whole board. But this is week 24, but each and every week I actually go down and sometimes there's a little to nothing on that list, but sometimes there's something. But my actionable items that I put down, I break it down into chunks. And this is my life. If my life says I need to change, which is on there, I need to change the vents in my house because it's this different season. It's time for it. Just the time of the year, every 3 months. But I need to change the vents. The box has been sitting in my hallway. It's on my list now, so it's gonna get done. And so that's one of my tools that I do. I mean, this is for everything. Break my life down into little small chunks and not throw everything like I gotta do this, I gotta do this. I only have to do what's on this board this week. And breathe.
What
That's
that
it.
is a perfect way to end this is, yes, prepare, do little bite size or little baby steps at a time. And then when you look back, all those baby steps have added up to the goal that you want to achieve, the new business that you're going to start. And so that is perfect. You are amazing, Tanisha. Thank you for being on
You
One Fear Per Year.